hands up for Willie T. Rich.
And the not missing four like Ricky Gasson.
Talk to Big Willie. He can tell you some history on street racing.
That way the kids don't have any reason to be on the public streets.
Hey everyone, this is another episode of African American Racers Association podcast. My name is Sarah Slaughter. I know I don't look like Chris or Sinclair, but I help run the PR and social media for AARA, and Chris and Sinclair have been really kind in letting me do some of these interviews for the podcast. And I'm really excited because my first one gets to be with my dear friend over here, Lauren Adams. And before I get into kind of the ins and outs of who she is, and she's got a story, let me tell you, I just want to say that we have been focusing a lot on the competitors and the crew, men and women, who really are a part of a team and getting the car around the track, down the track. But there's so much more to motorsports than just the teams and the competitors. We can't do anything without them, but a lot of the times it's the people behind the scenes that are really putting the sport out there, making it engaging, getting people to tune in, getting people to click on something on social media. And Lauren is one of those people for NHRA, the National Hot Rod Association. You guys saw our interview with Antron Brown not too long ago. But Lauren, go ahead and tell me what your title is and a little bit of just a small snippet of what you do for NHRA.
Okay, so title's kind of long, a lot of commas. It is the director of photography. I am also a feature producer and an editor. So I pretty much do everything I can with just me at the moment. So like I'm my own crew, I am my own support team out there on the track, but it's awesome because I get to do a lot of cool stuff. I get to shoot and film a lot of cool people, a lot of awesome drivers, get to see a lot of races, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, where do I start?
She's the camera woman.
Basically. I know all that stuff was just fancy for just like she hold the camera. That's I'm literally.
She captures the cool stuff and then she turns it into the cool stuff that you get to see on TV and on social media.
Yes.
That's just a little synopsis.
Yes.
So kind of tell me, how did you get started? How did you end up at NHRA? You know, obviously I don't think that was where you started off.
Yeah.
So kind of how did you get into it?
So didn't even know NHRA existed. I was working at USA Today Sports with a producer, and I was kind of covering the NBA division of USA Today Sports. So I would go to games, I would shoot, edit, make packages for video content for online. Long story short, it's kind of that saying, it's all in who you know. My producer actually gave me kind of like a side gig to another individual that he worked with back at the NBA, and he just needed a side project, a side video done, edited and whatnot. I did it, paid no attention no more to it. He called me back within maybe a month or so and said, I'm the vice president now of National Hot Rod Association. His name was Ken Adelson. And he said, I'm actually putting together a team. You want to come to LA? And well, not LA, California. You want to come to California? And I'm like, what is drag racing? So I'm from Philadelphia. I knew nothing about drag racing. I looked it up and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a great opportunity. Mind you though, I'm a stick and ball girl. Like I play basketball. I love football. Like Philly, we bleed a lot of the stick and ball sports. So I knew though, this was like, this is an opportunity for me to really take in something new, but also too, the position and what I had, it was to be an E&G operator. So I get to shoot and I get to edit and create packages for something I have have no clue how it even existed or that it even existed. So I was like, you know what? It was also too, it was the dead winter of New York. And I was like, peace, New York, I'm out. I dropped my New York accent and everything.
You did.
So went to California, got to California and was like, oh, this is awesome. Mind you, never even heard drag racing, like physically. So in person.
The real thing.
The real thing. So me and Amanda Busick, who's the NHRA reporter, we started at the same time. She was privy to actually take in a race before me. So she was like, let's go to the starting line. I was like, starting line? All right, it's just 2 cars going down the track. Literally, I got to the starting line, got into the middle, and as soon as the cars took off, I don't know if it was Funny Car or Top Fuel, but as soon as they took off, it might have been Funny Car. As soon as it took off, like the insides of my body, like were shaking, like we're still shaking remotely. And I think I might have had earplugs in, don't remember, but I just remember like, there's no way someone could physically stand here and just listen to that and take that time and time again. That's my job. Like, oh, I ain't ready for that.
Just a little background. So NHRA drag racing, which she's talking about funny cars and dragsters. Dragsters is what we got here behind us. This is Antron Brown's car. And funny cars are the ones that kind of clamshell up and their butts are up. That's the best way to describe it. They are 11,000 horsepower, 330, almost 340 miles per hour. They go 1,000 feet in less than 4 seconds. And you get 2 of those side by side going down the racetrack. That's what she's talking about, standing in the middle, experiencing that.
Yeah, it was definitely eye-opening. The tears were coming out.
That's from the nitromethane.
That's from the nitro. That wasn't from actually being afraid. But I was just like, wow, there's no way. And I've been with NHRA it's going on my 6th year. I do not get used to it. There's no getting used to it. You still jump, you still shake, you still feel it. It's something that's unexplainable.
So coming into NHRA, kind of in all motorsports, I mean, the whole reason that we have ARA, trying to promote equality within motorsports. What was your experience coming in, your first time, getting to the office, getting out to a racetrack for the first time, and kind of looking around and seeing what you saw?
Yeah, so definitely coming from Brooklyn, New York, I definitely got to California, and their office was in Glendora, and going out to the track, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, wow, there's only one of me, or maybe 2. And then I saw you, and I was like, well, there's 2. And it was
and we were both new at the time.
Yeah, we were both new at the time. And so I was like, okay, this is going to be like, a learning experience, a curve. But, let's go for it. I definitely felt there was a little bit of fear, but not fear because of my skin color as much, but as far as what I could offer. So it was mainly, I want to do good. I want to show that I belong here and that I know what I'm doing with a camera, that I know what I'm doing by putting packages together. Yeah, I'm qualified for the job. I didn't have more so this kind of fear because I was pretty much up in age. Yeah, I'm like, listen, I'm from Philadelphia. I'm going to Brooklyn, New York. I can hold my own. So it was more so I want to make sure I'm qualified for the job. So it was different, but it was welcoming. People were welcoming, and they, what I didn't know, they were willing to give me information. So that was awesome.
So kind of talk about your experiences, like specifically with the people. I mean, the differences between interacting with the teams and the crews and the drivers, and working with, you're out there with the fans, the fan interaction and all that.
So the drivers were amazing. I mean, it was awesome because I kind of like stalked them. Like I always wanted, I was like, yo, are you about to do something? Because I want to shoot it. Like, and they took towards me kind of in a nice way. Like they were like, okay, like, you know what I mean? This girl wants to put us on TV. We ain't mad at it. She wants to create packages, for us. We're not mad at it. And it was awesome because I was different. I'm coming in with my locks, like, you know what I'm saying? They like,
hey.
Yeah, they're like, who is this girl? But it was awesome because they took an interest, and I took an interest. And also too, I looked at them not as just like, oh, I need to shoot them. I looked at them as like, wow, you guys do something incredible. I'm actually in awe of you. So I respected them. I made sure that these are not just, they're human beings. They're not just drivers. They're not just putting on a show. They're not just athletes. You know, these are human beings. I got to treat them with respect. I'm new here. This is their turf. So that was awesome. The only time where I got kind of more so where people were like, ooh, she don't really fit in, was definitely maybe fans. Fans were a little leery of me, especially in like, you know, certain states. I think Indiana is where I had a little run-in with the fan. But the thing about it is the NHRA family and the crew that I was with, they were very protective of me, made sure nothing happened. And so that was awesome to see. And that was really it. I mean, you know, when I have a kid, like, there's only much you can say when you are the only African-American female. But when I got the camera in my hand, because that's what I mostly have, I never leave without that camera. They're like, oh, she might be somebody important.
Oh, she important.
Also, too, you can't do nothing to me because I got the camera.
True. And you got that Fox.
And I got the Fox thing. They're like, oh, okay, she works for Fox. So she can either put us on TV or she, you know what I mean? So they would try to work their angle like, can you put us on TV? And I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm not the live camera. So that was the only time though. Yeah, but other than that, it hasn't been an easy road, but it's been a road where I felt like I was applauded as I was from step to step.
What were some of the struggles? I mean, we can talk about all the positivity, and I agree. NHRA is, you know, as a whole, it's a traveling circus.
Yeah.
But it's a tight knit family. Like when you're in the pits, you know, if anything happens, you know that you can. There's a crew guy here, a crew guy there, or driver there that's gonna be like, don't mess with, you know, our people.
Yeah.
But kind of talk about some of the struggles that maybe didn't necessarily have to do entirely with just your skin color, but maybe you're a woman in a field that you're in a sport that doesn't necessarily have too many African American women, but you're also in a profession that doesn't have too many African American women.
Absolutely. The struggles were definitely there, and I think it was more so, like we had mentioned before, I wanted to make sure that I was doing as much as I can, and I'm not a complainer. If I do complain or vent, you know, we vent like you know what I mean.
You and I vent to each other.
You and I vent to each other, but we don't. What I made sure was I always had game face on. Mm-hmm. Like you weren't gonna see me kind of just in a corner, like balled up in tears, which I could have been. But I made sure I could take on the workload. Give me extra work. Give me, okay, there's an assignment. You want me to spearhead it? I can do that. In my mind, I'm like, girl, you can't do that. In my mind, though, I'm like, yes, you can. And we're going to do it now. Those were the struggles, just kind of making sure that I didn't go backwards, that I plateaued up. And the thing about it was I started out as just a videographer, E&G. The feature producer and like lead editor came within years of them trusting my work, trusting the fact that I can get it done in a timely fashion. And then also they saw like, there's really no one helping her. So she's kind of made it to where she, you know, relies on herself and she also gets it done. So, I mean, that was, and me constantly praying to God to make sure, think like, God, please shower it all on me. So,
well, we also talked about, kind of going back to, you know, your venting, we had talked about how you as who you are as an African-American woman doing what you're doing in a sport that you're doing it in, mm-hmm. you know, not necessarily wanting to stir the pot.
That, yes, and that was the thing too. I didn't want to create so much like to where like, who does she think she is? But I wanted to fit in, and I really thought like, well, I don't want to get too ahead because then they're gonna think like, oh, who is she to try to do this, or who is she to try to, like you said, stir in the pot, or you know, she's out here, she wants to just like show off in front of that wasn't me at all. I wanted to just like blend in like under the radar. Like I wanted to be under the radar.
Don't blend, girl.
Yeah, yes. Like I wanted, the crazy thing was I wanted to set the firework, but then also run. Like, and be like, well, who set that firework? Because that was pretty awesome. Like, I don't even know I'm very humble about things that I do, and I don't like a lot of praise. It's just,
Except for right now.
yeah, yeah, like Sarah had to like drag me to do this. Oh God, but yeah, I just I like to do things and just keep it going because
No, I like your analogy of like you want to set off the firework and then run and have people be like, "Whoa, well that was that was cool. Like, where did that come from?
I didn't even see her
didn't even know she was doing that."
Yes.
And I mean, and it is a lot of that way. You know, when you do the intros for the TV shows, and you know, you do. I don't know who does. Like, I never knew who did that. You know, and then to meet you and to get to know you, and then be like, "Oh, so you're the badass that made this maybe not so attractive racetrack look pretty cool."
Yes.
You know, I mean, the cars, it's hard to, especially with, you know, drag racing when it's such a sensory sport, trying to convey that on a screen digitally is just so hard. So some of the stuff you've done, and maybe we can flash some stuff in there.
Yes.
Maybe, okay?
Just insert there.
Yeah. You know, she captures the adrenaline of the sport. I think that's a good way of saying it. But so kind of talk about like, you got into drag racing, you were doing what you were doing, you were successful at it, you didn't want to stir the pot too much. Like, what keeps you coming back? Like, why are you, because you have a passion for it, you can see it through your work.
Yes.
So why are you passionate about this sport that, you know, maybe doesn't necessarily have too many folks for you to quote unquote look up to or whatever?
Well, you know what? It's within meeting the drivers and talking to them, I get to understand them, not just on a driver level, on an athlete level. Like we said, like you get to connect with them. Like we're out there, like it's 24 races. We're out there constantly. I haven't even talked to my mother. I'm talking to them constantly, like
living with them, you go to
living with
dinner with them,
going to dinner with them. You in the hotels with them, you in the hotel lobbies with them. Y'all in the bathroom stalls, separate, of course. But I'm just like, you know, there's gotta be something where, you know, I learned something about you on a personal level. So that's been one, connecting with the drivers, understanding their stories as well, and that they're human beings and that they have things and wants and desires and frustrations and all that. So that's awesome. But also too, every year I'm like, it's a challenge. How can I be better than last year? And also too, I erase everything that I did last year. Like if anyone's like, yo, you know, I really liked the banquet thing from 2017. I don't even remember. I don't remember that video. I don't even remember. I don't even remember where I shot it. I don't remember where I was editing. Like, I just don't, because I'm like, yo, that's, because you grow every year. So you want your work to grow every year. You want to show like, there's a reason why they keep extending me and keep me, you know what I mean, on the team. You know, I don't just provide you with the same thing. I spice it up a little bit. No one wants this
fresh.
Yes.
Rather than having to get fresh meat, you have fresh ideas.
Fresh ideas. Like, okay, show me other ways to cook the steak. You know what I mean? Maybe steak for breakfast. Maybe for lunch or dinner. Maybe a steak dessert. I don't know. Like,
maybe it's tacos.
Maybe it's tacos. So I literally, that's my challenge. And I'm like, Lauren, how can you make it better? And the craziest thing is, due to COVID, we've had to we've all had to kind of create with less. So that in itself is just, it gets you going. Like, you're like, all right, so I have fewer days to make these show opens, fewer people out here. So, but we want you to create the same thing.
No, they want you to create something better.
Something better. And it's just like, and I'm not the type of person to be like, I can't do that. Because I'm like, well, let me find out how we're going to do that.
She doesn't stir the pot.
I do.
She's not going to tell you no because that stirs the pot. She's just going to find a way to do it.
Anytime you say no about something in a creative aspect,
you're limiting yourself.
You're limiting yourself, and also too, they're going to find somebody who can. And that's the part where I'm like, and I say that in a creative aspect. Now, if they over here trying to push you and you know, just throw you out there to the wolves and be like, you can speak up. But in a creative aspect, never say like, yo, I cannot do that. Try it. If you fail, you fail. But the attempt was made. So that's my passion. Every time I come back, I'm like, how can I be better? Like your old stuff was like, you know, your 2020 stuff was like, like how, like I'm my own worst critic. So I'm just like, I mean, it was cute, but like, how can 2021 be that much more explosive? Like, you know what I mean? Because the fans deserve it. I'm a fan too. I watch TV. Like, I don't want to see the same stuff at all. You want to like, how can y'all wow me today? Like, you know what I mean? And that's my job. It's hard, but I love it. I love the joy and the thrill of it. I'm so passionate.
And I mean, so you've kind of taken it, just talking career-wise, you've kind of taken it. So you came from USA Today Sports, doing some online stuff. You came into the TV. You've grown. You've got new titles. But a couple of years ago, so when you first started NHRA, you were an NHRA employee.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So now you've kind of shifted in the last 3 years? You've kind of shifted into doing something else.
Yes. So now I'm an NHRA freelancer. And so now I've also done, I'm freelancing now in all different types of fields. So I've done stuff with Kylie Jenner. I've done stuff with Academy Sports and Outdoors, just new things. And it's different because I've always been sports. So now doing things that is, as far as like, still digital, but just like a different audience. Now, you know, there's more beauty in it. There's more sit down interviews. There's more structured cooking shows, and it's different because I'm trying to like
used to chaos.
Yes, I'm used to chaos, and I'm just like, well, how like when you splash the potato in the grease, like I want to make a fire transition. And they're like, this is not drag racing. We want a smooth dissolve and just keep it cute. But yeah, it's different as far as my approach and as far as editing and as far as me running around sweating in 90-degree weather in some tracks versus like, this is nice.
We had air conditioning.
And now I'm working, you know, I get to work with a couple more, you know, crew people, and I'm like,
I have help?
Yeah, like we all, I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I'm literally like carrying the sound and the tripod and the camera, and they're like, that's what we're here for. And I'm like, oh, that's new. But it's awesome. But I mean, nothing takes the cake of NHRA drag racing. But it's awesome. And what I love about it is I'm expanding my palette, and I'm also learning different things, different techniques, and different likes that people want. So it's awesome.
Spreading your wings.
I'm spreading my wings.
Spreading your wings.
Spreading my wings like the Eagles.
She's saying that because she's an Eagles fan. She know I'm a Cowboys fan.
I had to throw that in there. That was a joke.
That was rude. God, I want to end this interview right now. Dang it. No, so just kind of speaking on, you know, where do you see, I guess we can talk more than just drag racing and motorsports with you. We can talk your profession, you know, as in the camera woman field. No, I'm going to talk about producer, directing, and all that. Like where do you see it going? Where do you see it expanding? I mean, for you personally, and like, where do you hope it goes for, you know, maybe the little African-American young ladies that are hopefully watching this and thinking, oh, so I can be involved in motorsports and it doesn't have to be as a driver, as a crew person.
Yes, you can. And I see it expanding. I mean, I see it expanding to short docs. that is on my radar. Like the top of my list,
Okay.
That's my checklist. I want to do a short documentary on just about any and everything. Sports, just everyday life. In Philadelphia, we have a huge problem with gun violence. I want to do a doc on that. There's so many, the thing about it is what I love is that I was able to learn stuff from a lot of different people. And NHRA has helped me, even though I'm shooting and I'm filming at the track, I see so many different things when I look behind that lens, because I'm like, yo, this is a story beyond drag racing. This is a story, and I love it because it just fine tunes that little. I have a little bug where it's like a creative, but it just it takes it up a notch, and that's what I love. It inspires me also when I see other people, like when I see you too. It just inspires me because I'm like, everyone has a story, and a story needs to be told, because you never know. My story might help somebody. Your story might help somebody. The fact that they could be sitting there and saying like, that's so crazy because I'm from the same place and she took a turn that way. And let me tell you something, it's not because of, oh my God, well she probably went to film school, or she probably did. I didn't go to film school. Right after graduation, which I had my degree in broadcast journalism, I was working at a senior living facility doing videos and also giving care to elderly individuals who were in there, who were living there. I was the waitress. I was doing their birthday videos. I was running their exercise programs. Like, there's nothing special about me. Nothing at all.
I can relate to that. I mean, my degree's in political science, so I'm way off with what I'm doing. Good Lord. And you're right. Hearing your story and hopefully, showing people that, well, I want to get into that. And it's like, well, maybe you're not the best driver, or, maybe you're not like a mechanic, but you're maybe not even a fan.
Yeah.
I didn't know what NHRA was when I first got involved either. So it's just, kind of take a chance, take a leap of faith. Leap of faith coming from New York to California for a sport you knew nothing about.
And that's the beauty of it. Like, the beauty, we always say, like, I love when there's people who have no idea what the situation is, and they come in and they blossom. And that's because God made it that way. Would I ever think when I graduated college, like, yeah, you're going to be the feature producer and the DP for drag racing? No. No. Like, to this day, it maybe started like 2 years ago, but my mom kept, because she didn't know what NHRA was, she was telling people that I worked for NASCAR. Like, and it was just because she had no idea. She couldn't say NHRA. She would say a lot of different other synonyms, syllables for it. And I was just like, Mom, acronyms for it. I'm like, Mom, you gotta, it's not NASCAR. You work for NASCAR? No, I don't. You work for ESPN? Nope, don't. Okay. So, but it was, the beauty of it is when I tell people, even back in Philadelphia, they look at me like, what? Like, no one can believe it. And that's the beauty. I love blowing people's minds when I'm like, because trust me, I am from the hood of Philadelphia. And, and they're like, you work in where as what? And I'm like, yep. It's awesome. Like, we should live for blowing people's minds. And
that.
Right?
Live for blowing people's minds. And don't let people put you in a box. Oh, you should probably stick to, no, I shouldn't. I should do whatever I want. Whatever God thinks that it is good for him, that's what I'm gonna do. And that's the dope part about it. It's awesome. It's awesome doing that. Yeah. Just blow people's minds with what you do. And expanding, you're not just bringing, you're not bringing yourself into NHRA, but you're bringing NHRA and what you do to the rest of your community and the people that don't know about it. It's all about the exposure and being, passionate about it. And, my parents always said, they're like, we get into things because you're involved in them. And so we start paying attention. And I'm like, well, good.
Right? Like, my mom is looking up, I saw Antron Brown. I read, she's reading stuff. And she's like, I saw like Erica Enders, and I was reading what Brittany Force was doing. And I'm loving it because my mom does not know any sports at all. But because I'm into it, she's into it. And my grandmom's like into it. And my grandma, I'm showing my grandmom things that I did, videos that I did, and she's like, "That's really nice."
I
And
have
she's
friends
telling her
taking
church
pictures
people,
of TV,
right?
being like, "Oh my gosh, your team's on!" Like,
Right?
I'm like, "Yeah, that's what they do."
They taking an interest, and it's all because you took a
We
leap of
exposed
faith.
it to them. So while you may be exposing NHRA and that community to the awesomeness that is Lauren Adams, you're also exposing the awesomeness that is NHRA and motorsports in general to an audience that may not have known that it was actually pretty awesome.
It's exactly, and not to
Or
mention-
accepting.
Or
I think it's also
accepting.
that too. I think for me, I've had people come up to me and be like, "Well, who do you work for?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, I work for, this particular team. And they're like, they hire black folks. And I'm like, yes, they do. And they take really good care of me. And I'm like a part of the family. And this is what we do. And we do it on a normal basis. And I think that's why I even got involved with AARA was because I was like, as much adversity as we may face, there are those people out there that are accepting and willing to give you a chance, not because you are the color you are, but because you have the qualifications
qualified
to do it.
Yep,
And I think that there's an added thing for, yes, we are African American, but we are also women. So not only do we want to make sure that we put on a good face for our Black brothers and sisters, but we want to make sure that we put on a good face for our sisters of all colors.
Yep.
And that's what it's about. It's about inclusion, and it's about anybody that is about inclusion and representation and equality. Like, you need to be a member of AARA, because I know it says African American Racers Association, but it's so much more than that. It's going out there and saying, hey, I don't care what you look like. If you get the job done, whether it be winning the race, putting the car together, making the video look good, getting the media interview, or capturing the perfect burnout to post on their social media, you help make that happen, and they want you because you do that, not because of what you look like.
Absolutely. And I mean, you hit it right on the nail too. The qualification, there's a reason why you're on the track, you're on the starting line. There's a reason why I'm on the starting line. And even whoever has an opinion of what you should look like, or what you should be, or what your background should be, let me tell you something. My work speaks for itself, so that way you have to respect me. And that's the thing where you can turn somebody into well, dang, I kind of judged her, or from first glance, I didn't really, I had hate towards her. Now I kind of got to respect her because she's out here, and we're not doing this. There's no affirmative action to where they're like, we need one of every color here. No, we, you know what I mean? There's
and
a
we
reason.
know that there's potentially, a microscope on
Yes.
us. Maybe not from our NHRA family or our motorsports family, but there's a microscope on us, and so and it's easy to pick us out. There aren't too many people that look like us at the racetrack. Like, we couldn't get away with anything, because no one else looks like us. We don't even look like each other.
Exactly.
So it can't even be, oh, well, I thought it was Lauren. No, it was Sarah. No, you know what we look like. So that it's even more of instead of it's not even, I don't want to say it's not a hindrance. It is a hindrance. It's annoying. It can get frustrating.
Yep.
But it also, I think I speak for you too, it pushes us for excellence. We want to show you that every doubt that you had in your head, whether it be because we were female or because we were African American, they're going to be gone in a little bit.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. And my grandma has always told me, it is what it is. And she's always said, Lauren, you're going to have to work twice as hard. And it's like you said, it's not because NHRA makes us work twice as hard. It's not their eyes, but it's everyone else's eyes. It's the world's eyes. It's society's eyes. you don't really fit in, or you don't really look like everybody else. We don't look like everybody else, and that's the beauty of it. We're supposed to stand out. And that's the awesome thing is when there are African American or there are young girls who come to a drag race and they look out in the starting line and they might see, yes, all the same color. And then you see that one or that two. And she like,
and it's not even young girls anymore. I have fans come up to me and they're like, now how did you get out on the starting line with that team? And I'm like, well, I work for them. Like I'm out there with them every single run. Like I know these people, I care about these people, you know, and you do. And so while it's nice that NHRA internally as a family, all the teams out there, all the crew guys, you know, they accept you and they bring you in, and they give you the opportunity to show the rest of the world that we kind of badass.
Yep. And that's the thing. They do give you the opportunity.
Yeah.
They do give you that platform. You know, there's nothing that they say. I mean, they challenge you. They push you.
Yeah. Well, and then they also, what you learn from there, you're able to take it other places. You're a freelancer now. I'm working with AARA, you know, on the side, and they open up opportunities for you, and that's exciting, and that's what you want to see, and that's, you know, I'm plugging AARA again, but obviously we're on the podcast. So, but that's why we have AARA. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're here. We want to show everyone that, you know, yes, we've faced adversity. Yes, it's hard. Yes, we set higher standards for ourselves. Yes, we understand that we're under a microscope, but we think we're doing pretty good.
Yes. Yes.
So with that, we will wrap up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next time.